Well, I guess this is sort of a preamble to our Hay trip, isn't it?
This is like
Yeah.
this is like the forward.
The starter.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah.
Not much of a starter, though, is it? Really?
It was what I sort of expected, because you'd sort of G'd me up to it.
Yeah, I prepared you for disappointment.
Okay. Well, what I better do, of course, is just film the opening. All right, which I should do now.
Yeah.
So, hello and welcome to today's video. So this time I'm with fellow YouTuber Steve from the Outlaw Bookseller channel, which I'm hoping you've all subscribed to. He's brought me along today to the Book Barn near Bath city centre, and we've just had a little look around, and we've come outside now to share our thoughts. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get to it. There we are. Look at it. One take Jules, that's what they call him.
How many times have you done that?
About 630. So here we are, outside the Book Barn, and I must admit, the first thing you see when you go through the door is shelves upon shelves of unsorted stock. So whether this is stuff that's just sort of come in and they've not had a chance to get through yet, I really don't know. A couple of nice table displays at the front with some new or remaindered stock. But on the whole, the first thing you see is some pretty full shelves of unsorted. However, the majority of the stock on display at the Book Barn is like this. It's typical. So the shelves are half full. It doesn't look like they've been sorted in weeks, to be honest. Vaguely in sort of category order, but it's a pretty vague list. And this was, laughably the science fiction and fantasy section. And as you can see, there's all sorts of other genres mixed in there. And it really just wasn't the greatest shopping experience you've ever come across, particularly if you're a book lover. You just wouldn't know where to start, and you'd probably be walking out quite soon afterwards. They had a few crates of records there as well, just the sort of thing you'd find at a charity shop. Pet friendly, I suppose that's a plus. You could bring your dog. But as you can see, it's in a bit of a sorry old state, to be honest, and it certainly never used to be like this, and it had a much, much better reputation than seemingly what it's got now. So basically, all the books were like a couple of quid each. Anything that was old or classed as vintage, such as these, paperback, hardback, doesn't matter, £4 each across the board. And, if I had some of this stuff in my collection, it would have been recycled into the bin long, long ago. I mean, it literally was like that. Now, books by the yard. Now, as you can see, there's some tempting penguins and pelicans there, some vintage ones. Not allowed past that door. That stuff is all reserved for the internet. So all the best stuff goes online, and all the rubbish, apparently, just is in the normal Book Barn. So, and you're not even allowed to go in and have a look. So as you can imagine, there's bound to be something in there, probably penguin related, that I might have liked, but sadly I didn't get to have a look. Then they've got, this is their antiquarian stroke collectible room. I can only assume that this is once again stuff that isn't online, and because you could freely go in and sort of pick it up and have a little look around. So I suppose it is a cut above the normal stock that's on the shelves, but anything that's out here is seemingly astronomically priced. Once again, there was no real order to it at all, so you had to just sort of look through everything. And then from a distance, I spotted a vintage paperback. And this is one of those Hutchinson Crime Society books. It's number 4, which I wasn't sure if I had it or not, but I thought, well, at least have a look. It's the best thing I've seen all day. At the top there's a little 30 pence, maybe what someone paid for it. So I thought, how much are they charging for this? £30. Yes, so I left that one behind. This is just general antiquarian, often very, very dry subjects, sort of textbooky old books. But just because they're old, it doesn't mean they're worth a lot of money. They literally have a use as a prop. If someone was building a vintage-looking library, that would literally be about it, because the actual content was not great. A few bits and pieces there, but very, very little of interest. It's like it's been picked over time and time again, and anything of any interest or value is online on their ABE pages. And whatever is left for the public is what's on display, what you can actually touch and have a look at. So very, very disappointing, and perhaps the worst sort of bookshop I think I've ever been in.
So, the book barn.
The book barn.
The book barn. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a shame, because
It is a shame.
historically, I've got books in my collection that have come from the book barn, and they've got that big white sticker on the back.
I know the ones. Yeah,
And I'm a bit annoyed, but if the book's okay and it's mint otherwise, I don't mind if it's got a book barn sticker on.
You can cope, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But what we saw in there, very, very disorganised. The shelves were all flopping over. Shelves of just unsorted stuff, which I guess has just come in, and they've not had chance to put out. There seemed to be only one girl working, one person serving today. We are here on a Sunday, and the cafe was pretty busy, wasn't it?
Yeah, the cafe is what gets the 5-star and triple.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? And we had a nice cup of coffee in that. Yeah. But looking around, there was definitely stuff there, but basically all vintage books, £4 each, wasn't it? Or was it 3 for a tenner?
I think they do this thing where the vintage is £4 each, and I think everything else is £2.
Right. Yeah. So a bit unusual, really. And there was definitely stuff there, but nothing. It was like common stuff. So stuff like old penguins and that. It seemed to be just the common stuff was there.
It's as I say, all the good stuff. In as much as there is good stuff, it's out the back it's on ABE. So because you buy it on ABE, and because it's stock pictures, you don't really know what you're getting. So if you're a conditioned nut like me, then you don't bother. So
that was really surprising, because you could see it. I could see 2 racks of old penguins. I thought, and I shall put this in the video, but I couldn't believe that someone like me, there was bound to have been something in there that I wanted, but you weren't allowed to even have a look.
No.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
Not even if you ask nicely. And I tried. I didn't bang my fist. I did ask nicely.
No, it's nuts, isn't it?
But it'll be more fun tomorrow at Hay-on-Wye.
Absolutely.
There's some pros there.
This is just the teaser to Hay-on-Wye, isn't
just
it?
The teaser,
but
I
sort of see this trip. This was just step one, and for a lot of people who might think, book barn, I've heard of that, and it's this massive book warehouse. It's just almost what I had in my mind. It's like walls and walls of books.
That's what it used to be.
Yeah,
that's what it used to be.
It's just changed.
Not any longer, sadly.
Yeah.
So is it worth the drive?
I don't think so. No, I've come out with literally no books. So we went in the antiquarian bit at the end, didn't we?
Yep.
And there was like one. I found one old Hutchinson paper, but I thought I didn't even get my phone out to see if I was one that I needed, but I think it was one I needed. So I thought £3 or £4, I'll probably pay that, because it was nice, but no dust wrapper. And inside £30.
It's not going to happen, is it?
Not today, no, not ever, really.
No.
For that money,
So not an auspicious start.
No.
But I did warn you.
You did warn me. I was prepared.
The best is yet to come, but that will come tomorrow.
Absolutely. So we are off to Hay-on-Wye, and the fabled home of books.
And then some.
And then some. And we've got a few great shops to look at. So we're going to the Cinema Bookshop.
We've got the Cinema Bookshop first, and I'm going to sell some stuff there, just a few bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And then we'll probably take in Richard Booth's next, which is good as well.
Yeah,
Richard
Booth. Yeah, Richard Booth.
And we'll go to Adimans, Derek, a proper pro, and Derek's got 3 shops there.
Yeah.
So we'll probably take a little toddle across the road from Adimans to Murder and Mayhem, the crime shop.
That's it.
I didn't go in the last couple of times.
Yeah.
So in my last 2 videos I've done about Hay, I didn't get into them. So we'll have a look at that.
That'll be fantastic, yeah.
And there'll be a few other good ones as well. Because
so whatever we shall see, yeah.
We shall see, yeah.
Yeah, oh, that's good. Well, if the weather stays like this, which is it's been showery all day, hasn't it? On and off.
It'll be glorious, he said laughingly.
Well, let us hope. So I had
I
a pretty good drive up. It's the weekend of Glastonbury, which I guess I might see a bit of Glastonbury traffic on the way back tomorrow, but I didn't stop once. It just got a bit slow on the motorway, you know. But apart from that, you know, a couple of hours to Bath, and then a couple more hours to Hay tomorrow.
Wales,
yeah,
it's going to be fantastic.
And
it's been. Yeah, I've been looking forward to this. I know you have as well. We've been looking forward to this for months, haven't we?
Absolutely, trying to get both our calendars in line. It's not easy, but we managed to do it, haven't we?
Our first meeting in 10 years.
Yeah, so that's
we could tell.
Well, absolutely. Well, what tales are we allowed to tell? Probably not many, but.
No.
I suppose Steve and I were at one point both bookshop managers. We've both been bookshop managers.
Yeah, we've also who for.
No, and well, I was self-employed as well for a while, wasn't I, doing that? We were both buyers for a national chain of books, of bookshops, weren't we? Sort of regional buyers, weren't we?
Yeah, that's right.
So I was doing the ones in the southwest, and you were
I was
at the top of the southwest.
I was doing upmarket stores.
Upmarket stores.
I was deemed to be upmarket.
Oh well, that's because of your knowledge, of course, you know. Yeah. And I was mass market McGee. That's what they called me, you know.
Between us, we had all the bases covered.
We did, yeah. And it was an interesting time, wasn't it? I mean, it really was.
Interesting time, yeah. A bit like a Chinese curse, you know. May you live an interesting time.
Well, it was, and you know, in a way, I miss those times. But the market's changed so much, and I just can only, having not been in high street retail bookselling for 10, well, I don't know, less than 10, maybe 8 or 9 years since I've done it. I just think it's changed unrecognisably now from what it was.
It's changed so much, you know, and obviously it's a generational thing, you know. We're mature. I'm a lot more mature than you, and
not by
he
much.
said Bradley. But you know, it has changed an awful lot.
Yeah.
And you know, I'll be honest, it's not as much fun as it used to be. But
no,
you know, that's part of what all this is about. This YouTube thing, you know, preserving the past through books is important. You know,
absolutely.
It's like one of my favourite quotations from 1984 is when Winston Smith is talking to O'Brien. He goes to O'Brien's flat, and it's before the betrayal, before he ends up in the Ministry of Love. And O'Brien says, "What should we drink to, the future or the past?" And you know, Winston says the past, and O'Brien says the past is more important. And of course, it's the central message of the novel. But we're off on the literary stuff here now, which we need a bit of, but not too much. So.
Absolutely. But I mean, this was the nature of the beast, wasn't it? And it was a funny time to be in bookselling, and I do miss those days a lot. But like you say, a bit of win there. I do miss my time in the bookshops. But even when I was there all those years ago, I wouldn't say the writing was on the wall, but you could see change was coming very quickly. You know?
I mean, the book trade changed enormously in my time. I mean, I went through the phase where nothing was computerized, from things like microfiches into everything being computerized, and electronic point of sale systems. And you know, and the internet came along. The netbook agreement collapsed. That was a big one.
Oh yes,
and, you know,
I remember that.
Changes there, you know, and books endure, and they're still popular, which is why we're here, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah. Well, we've got our love of books, and that's never going to go away.
No,
and
not at all, no.
Both our channels have got great book lovers themselves, and you're here to share our passion, which is
all
what it will be.
Sharing,
over the next next few videos. These will be over the course of a week or so. I shall release these, even a couple of weeks, because I have some holiday, so I shall use these. Yeah, indeed.
You're allowed holiday?
I am.
Good
yeah.
I
don't know
how.
how.
Well, actually.
So these will be coming out over the next few weeks, but it's going to be good fun. It's going to be. I'm really looking forward to filming them.
It's going to be fantastic. So. You know, and you won't often get the opportunity to get a couple of seasoned, crusty old pros sort of looking to buy, and you'll see what we find.
Yeah,
you know,
hopefully some good stuff. Yeah. So on our way to Hay now, stopping just before the Brecon Beacons, beautiful scenic reservoir, a nice little place to stop and take in the scenery. We had fantastic weather all day that we were in Hay, so we did very, very well from that point of view. I think there was a tiny bit of rain when we were leaving Bath, and that was about it. But as you can see, it's a gorgeous area, right in the middle of Wales. Hardly any signposts for Hay until you're virtually on top of it. Here's Steve just recording a little bit for his channel. soaking up the scenery. See, he's got one of those fancy selfie sticks. And here we are, bookshop number 1 of 3 that we're going to visit and film. This is the Hay Cinema Bookshop. So Steve had a little box of books that he was going to trade in. Staff know him very well, of course. And this is the entrance to the cinema bookshop. And they've got a nice selection of new books in the front door. And then here you are. So this is sort of the downstairs bit. There's an upstairs as well, and it is literally row upon row of paperbacks. Some paperbacks and hardbacks, so much more organised than what we've just seen at the Book Barn, and it's nicely broken down into genre and subject. Also, quite strictly A to Z by author's surname, particularly in the fiction, crime, science fiction. Absolutely fantastic. It is a case of you don't know where to turn first because there's that much to have a look at. As I said, there's an upstairs as well, but this is more your rough and ready, a bit of mass market stuff. But I was very pleased to see, some great literary titles here, even though they're paperbacks. It was good stuff. I was really, really hoping I went through all their stock of Graham Greens, because I'm just missing 4 now in vintage paperback in first edition, but they had a couple, exceptional condition. They're only like £2 each, which is a brilliant price, but sadly they were ones that I already had. But as you can see, the shelves are nicely packed, but not overly packed. Not masses and masses of duplicate stuff either, which is good to see. They didn't have like 6 of one title. On the whole, the downstairs was quite well lit. There was one strip light which was out, and just to sort of finish looking around, I did fire up the torch on my mobile phone just to have a look in that particular corner. But there was an awful lot to see. I mean, you could have spent hours and hours and hours going through it all properly, particularly when you went upstairs. This is the literature department, and this one was even more well organised, and these were books which were of a higher tier, so it was a bit more collectible and more valuable books. Very, very nicely laid out. I was very impressed with this bit, and this entire section warranted a full look through. I thought it was excellent. Awful lot to see here. More modern authors, sort of A to Z by surname, fiction, then the crime, and the SF. It was all broken down by genre. That's good stuff. There was lots of back rooms as well, with like military sections and travel sections, prints, maps, everything under the sun really. To do it justice, you really needed to stay here all day to go through it properly. But this was just one of 22 shops in Hay, 22 bookshops, and the first one of 3/4 that we wanted to have a really thorough look through. So I'm glad we spent the time here to see what we did see. Here's some more. They're like related ephemera. And some science fiction A to Z. They shelve the hardbacks in with the paperbacks, which is a good way of doing it, so it keeps an author together. And Steve certainly got a few gems from here. Picking up his A format SF titles. I got a nice little pile which I was really pleased with, which we'll have a look at the end. Steve in action. Nice little section, books about books, which is always a section I check over if I do come across them, because I love reading about books and book design and book history, publisher history, that sort of thing. Here's Steve filming a bit more for his channel, some of his recent pickups, some of the A formats that he found in the Cinema Bookshop. Some very nice titles there. Now this is in their antiquarian and rare book room, starting with a beautiful collection of New Naturalist first editions. It's their Folio Society selection. And, you know, like the Book Barn, you know, the Cinema Bookshop have got real rarities online as well as in the store, but you have access to all the stuff that they've got. And I think if it is something that is online, it'll have a little slip inside, so you know, the people at the till know to take it off if something like that sells. You know, a few real valuable books behind glass cabinets, which is understandable. And there was a very friendly woman there, very knowledgeable, and she was telling us a few stories. They had a nice little pile of like vintage science fiction digests and pulps, some amazing stories there, which was very nice to see. Literally stuff everywhere, but in the sort of the rare book room here, this is where there was some real great stuff. Little Guy N. Smith classic there. Book about Guy N. Smith. This is the military history selection. Quite a bit of Churchill, Second World War, which is good to see. They had a whole bookcase and a half of just Churchill and Churchill related books, which was fantastic. I bought one little hardback from there, which I hadn't seen before, which was quite nice. But with Churchill, I mean, honestly, where do you stop? But their prices were really reasonable as well. They had volumes of his speeches in dust wrappers at just $5 each, and they sell for a lot more than that. You know, first editions. So these are the books I picked up in the Cinema Bookshop. This little Penguin Modern Classic. Here we are, the Hay Cinema Bookshop. Penguin Modern Classic. I'll give all of these a proper clean at the end of the month with my June pickups, but I wanted to just sort of put these into context by showing you exactly what I found in the Cinema Bookshop. Nice early corgi there, that was £3.50. This is one Steve recommended, a couple of pound. Steve said to me that pretty much all the big SF movies were based on this particular book, so we shall see. That's one to read. This is a very nice Dennis Wheatley that I was pleased to get. It's one I haven't got in the Hutchinson Pocket Library. They did two. I have got the other one. £8. This is my dearest purchase from the Cinema Bookshop. I'm very pleased to find another Muth and Sixpenny. They did about 20. And this is, I've got about half now, so good to find one of those. Cherry Tree books, these are £3 each. These are incredibly scarce. These are two crime ones as well, at £3 and £2. I know they're falling to bits, I absolutely know that, but at the same time they are also very scarce. So I picked them up for that. Here's a little map of Hay-on-Wye that shows the where all the bookshops are. There's 22 of them in total. As I said, we didn't have anything like enough time to go through 22 bookshops, but we did our best. This is quite nice. This was the Churchill hardback I picked up. Quite enjoyed this one. It's a little hardback, one that I've not seen before. This is a £5, I think. Didn't mind that at all. A book in the Panther Crime Band series. I do believe I've got this one, but this is a really nice one. Virtually unread, I would say. Very collectible. Crime author is Robert Van Gulik. Due a revival, in my opinion. I really like the Panther Crime Band. It was the only one I saw the entire day. And if anyone has a list of all the books that came out as Panther Crime Band, I'd be very interested to know. A nice little Panther. This was John Christopher. That went on to write the tripods, of course. This was a nice movie tie-in addition to Doctor No. I have got the one with the 2 and 6 prices, another one which is 3 and 6, but this was a better than average copy and better than the one that I've got. This 4 square here, the Gay Galliard, much better than the one that I've got, and in fact it's on my list as one to upgrade, so I was pleased to get that one. And a couple more cherry trees here. We've got the Snatch game, very scarce, but obviously poor grade, and Dragnet, which is another great one there by Cherry Tree. Then the last one I got was another vintage Corgi and sci-fi one, SF, Men, Martians and Machines. So there you go, not a bad haul from bookshop number 1.
Right, okay.
So what did you think?
Brilliant. That was brilliant. That
good,
was,
isn't it?
yes, thank goodness. I mean, I've £45, big stack of books. There was almost more than you could go through.
Yes.
There was so much there, wasn't there? It
Always
was really
been
good.
A real highlight of the trip, always. And they always buy from me, very nice staff and, and well organised.
Really friendly staff, So this was a cinema then?
It was a cinema. I think it ceased being a cinema as, the early 60s. I don't know the detail, but yes, because of course you think cinema bookshop and you think, it's going to be all full of books about film. Because it isn't. There used to be a bookshop here which was all film books. That's long gone, quite a small one. But yeah, cinema is one of the mainstays of Hay and always a highlight. And
fantastic,
usually my first call,
Really good. I mean, I could have probably spent 10 hours in there easily. You said back in the day, you've done that in the past. To go through it all properly, but I think I concentrated on what I was looking for, vintage paperbacks, bit of military history. There was so much there. The antiquarian room was nice. Not perhaps as many first editions as I thought there might be, sort of modern first and wrappers, but you say they've got some online stock.
Absolutely.
And that's not on display, no?
I'm not certain about that. I tend with online, when I look at things in Hay, I tend to look at Derek Adaman stuff, which we look at a bit later on. But I sort of try, as you know now, I try and focus on SF. But, I've come here in the past many times and spent very long hours in there. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And things have changed. It's not the way it was, where once upon a time you'd come here, wander in, get a 40 quid hardback for £5. Right. It doesn't happen so much now.
No.
But yeah, it's still a fantastic.
But I did not think the prices were dear.
They're not
at all.
Prices are
not
really
at all.
good,
I mean, I put out some stuff. I thought, well, I don't collect this, but there was like a Dick Francis proof from the mid '70s, a £5. John Gardner proofs, who went on to do the James Bond.
Absolutely,
It wasn't any of his Bond ones, but there was a run of 4 or 5 proofs there, 5 or 6 quid each. I thought that was a steal.
Stuff, isn't it?
They weren't expensive. Even that Dennis Wheatley I picked up, that was the most expensive paperback at £8.
I've never seen that one.
But I don't think it's in beautiful condition. And I've seen that sell online for £20-25, and it's one I haven't got, so I'm pleased with that.
I did some nice collection fillers of A format science fiction books, 60s, 70s, with unbroken spines. Little things which I could have picked up a long time ago, but I want to get them with unbroken spines. Really good. So
brilliant.
The cinema is always a good score.
Yeah,
Never
really
ever
good.
Feel ripped off there. You feel the prices.
Absolutely, no, it was great, and as I said, you could have easily spent another few hours in there going through it. So a great start to the Hay visit. Really good.
Very much so.
Yeah, so, recommend that place.
Coffee time.
Coffee and a cake.
Coffee time on Steve.
Excellent. Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for watching today. If you've not already, do please subscribe to Steve's channel.
That would be great.
I'm sure you already have if you're watching this, because Steve's got some fantastic content over there. Hit that subscribe button if you've not already for regular vintage book content, and I shall see you very soon with our next video. Bye.